You're live! Yay! Okay, I'm Julie and thank you for clicking on this video. What we're going to talk about today is the vibe is learning English with a native speaker for free, and today's conversation topic is love. Now, before I start, I want to tell you a little bit about the purpose of this video and the purpose of this playlist and this channel. If you're looking for English practice to pass an exam or something, like IELTS or TOEFL, then this playlist is not for you. Okay, there are many other much better resources out there for more kind of like textbook English and correct English. I'm gonna tell you right now, this channel is not about correct English, not in this playlist anyway. The purpose of this is more natural sounding English, everyday English, conversational English, and what sounds natural and not really awkward, right? Now, it's pretty hard for a lot of native English speakers to say why some things sound awkward because we don't even think about it, right? We don't even know. But hopefully I'll be able to analyze a little bit about why some things sound strange or weird or awkward, why some things sound normal, right? And then you'll be able to speak a lot more confidently, right? So again, if you're taking a test or studying for a test, maybe you can do this afterwards for a little bit of fun. All right, yeah. So this is incorrect English, actually, because most native English speakers, we don't speak correctly, right? We don't even need to think about our speaking. Very commonly, we'll make the same mistakes over and over. So one example is, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that. That mistake actually became so common. I see that in some dictionaries that have been updated, like gonna, wanna, gotta, that kind of thing. So language changes, language evolves. And okay, I'm looking at my notes here. I want this to feel like we're having a conversation, right? So this is not a formal English lesson. I think you can see the little puppy dog over there. Her name is Freya. She's sleeping. Also, I have housemates, so you might hear them going in and out. I want you to imagine that we're having an actual conversation, right? So grab a cup of tea, right? You can relax and, you know, just enjoy learning a bit about how people speak and that kind of thing. Just one second. And on that note, with most native English speakers making mistakes and not even realizing it, you're going to make mistakes too, right? Maybe the same mistakes, maybe different mistakes. That's normal. And so if you make a mistake when you're speaking English, don't think about the mistake and trying to correct it, right? That's more exam focused thinking, which is really great if you want to pass a test or pass an exam. If you're trying to pass a test or exam, think of getting it correct. But for day-to-day conversation, if a test is not your goal, focus on making yourself understood, right? So it's okay to make a mistake as long as whoever you're speaking to knows what you're trying to talk about. If you speak with an accent, then that just means you're from somewhere. I have an accent, and in a minute I'll tell you what kind of accent it is and why it is that way. Again, just don't feel bad about being from somewhere or sounding a little bit different. Most native English speakers can tell if you're not a native speaker, and that's just fine. There's nothing wrong with that. They also have an accent, it just happens to be from a different place. So pretty much as long as you're clear, then that's fine. My goal is to help you sound a little bit more natural, and I want you to take what you feel comfortable with and use that for yourself. So maybe I'm going to talk about a few common phrases today. If you like maybe 1 or 2 out of 5, use those, right? Because the way you speak, it goes along with who you are. it goes along with your personality, kinds of things that you would say. You shouldn't feel like you have to say certain phrases because they're common in a different culture, right? Your culture, where you're from, things you would say, that's part of who you are. So you do you, right? I'm just trying to give you options so you can pick and choose better ways to say what you want to say while still being clear and sounding as natural as possible. So, all right, that's a little bit about what I wish for you, right, and what I hope for. Myself, I'm Canadian, so I have a Canadian accent. It's not a very strong Canadian accent. That's because I have lived abroad for 6 years, and the kind of people I would speak with were not all Canadian, and they also were not from that country. They weren't natives of that country. So I've spoken with a lot of people from all sorts of different places. And for myself, and I was an English teacher, English literature, my goal when I speak has always been to be clear and to be understandable. So my accent has become quite neutral. Some people say I sound American, but if you listen for certain words, I do sound Canadian. So words like milk, about, pillow, that kind of thing. The accent's still there, it's just not very strong. So I'm speaking from my experience. If you speak to another native English speaker from a different place, right, or even with a different personality or a different experience from mine, then they might actually completely disagree with what I'm saying sounds natural or sounds unnatural. And for me, I don't get bothered by that. I think it's actually very good because, everyone has a different life, right? And different things sound normal to one person based on what they've been through in their life. So if you think something sounds unnatural, or if a native speaker watches this video and they say, no, that's wrong, that sounds weird actually. She says it doesn't sound weird, but it sounds weird, then post that in the comments, right? Because then everyone can learn from that. This is more of a chat, right? It's not really a formal English lesson, so treat it like it is a chat. For now, you post in the comments and we can keep the conversation going. Also post your own ideas, any questions you have, then let me know. All right, so that was a lot of preamble. All right, now I'll get into the video topic. So love. All right, so for this video, I want to talk about not the topic so much as the word itself and the way the word is commonly used, right? And how it sounds depending how you use it. Okay? So sometimes love can be a very strong word to show very strong feelings. Sometimes the word love can be used very casually, right? With very little meaning. But it shows an idea fairly well. So we'll go through all the different ways you can use the word love in your everyday conversation, right? Also, I'll go over what sounds creepy, right? So I mean creepy in the sense where with a strong word like love, a word that can sound very strong, it can sound very emotional and very serious sometimes. So what I'm going to tell you is how to sound serious if you want to sound serious, and how to be sure that you're using this word casually or in a relaxed way if you don't want to say anything serious. And it'll become more clear as I talk about more examples. So, all right, love itself is a very strong word. So for example, when someone says, I love you, that's very strong, right? You've probably seen it in movies. Usually if there's a couple in a relationship and if they say, I love you to each other, the deeper meaning of that, what it really means to a lot of Western people, means I can see a future with you, right? Or I could maybe marry you, or we could become very serious for the rest of our lives, I love you means you can see that happening, right? You could see yourself together with that person for a long time when it's a romantic relationship. So that is the very strong version of love, right? The way that phrase is used anyway. So because it's so strong like that, it can sound very creepy sometimes, right? If you just say like, oh, I love you. And you can say it lightly, but I'll give you some topics where it is normal to use love in a very light way when you're not being serious. So, when you're talking about something you really enjoy that's not a person, then using the word love with that, it just shows you really, really like it or you really, really enjoy it. So, one example is food, right? So, oh, do you like that cake I made? Oh, I really love it. Thank you so much. That's not weird, it's not creepy. It's just showing you really enjoy something. Also, a thing or a pet. People say they love their pets all the time. Also, a thing, right? So, I love my morning coffee, or I love working out. I don't love working out, but a lot of people do. Also, an activity or an action. I think I already covered that. Then it doesn't sound very personal because you're not focusing on a person, so it doesn't sound like I love you. It sounds very like, oh, I really enjoy this. Also, this is a tricky one. I'm just marking the point I wanted to think of. If you have a very close friend who you've been through many experiences with, so if they helped you through a hard time or if you helped them through a hard time, if you already know that your relationship is not romantic, then you can pretty often say, I love you, right? Or if you have spoken before, like, oh, I'm not close with my family, but you feel like family, and you say, I love you after you've already spoken about that, then it's not creepy and it's not weird to say, I love you, right? Especially if you've given each other help or something like that, then that's pretty all right? So they know that you really care about them, or you know that they really care about you. If you've already established and you already know that your connection is not romantic. Also, I'll tell you a story where I made a mistake. This was a cultural mistake between two native English speakers, and I misunderstood one quite a lot. This is before I traveled. When I was in university, I was on the bus, and this is in Canada, and I was sitting so that there was an extra seat beside me, beside the window, and a guy came onto the bus, so I just moved over to give him room so he could sit. And he spoke, so I could hear that he was from, maybe England, somewhere in the UK. And after I moved for him so he could sit down, he said, oh, thanks, love. And so I heard that. People usually don't say that around here. So I got really excited. I thought, ooh, maybe he likes me. But no, that's kind of, some people say it depending where they're from. It just means like miss or dear or something like that. So it didn't mean anything. Some people say love and it doesn't really have any extra meaning to it. It is not serious. He was just being very polite to me. So I learned from that very well. He was very cute too. A note about this is like a lot of my friends, they are from England or the UK. Most of them are from England, which is why I keep mentioning this. I personally don't use, they say love a lot. I don't use the same words they use that are from their culture, unless it's something that we can easily misunderstand. So for example, if they're talking about what I call soccer and I'm with a group of them and they're saying football, then yeah, I will say football, even though they know it's soccer to me. that just makes sense with the context. Or I'll say trousers instead of pants because there's more of them than me, and it's easier for them to understand me if I just use their words for it. But for yourself in day-to-day life, I would not say something like love because it's very clear that's not normal in my language or my culture. So yeah, that's a personal opinion. You can do as you like, adapt to where you're from. But with a word that's very strong like that, I usually don't change my vocabulary that much depending who I'm talking to. So when it's for clarity's sake, so like football instead of soccer, trousers instead of pants, it makes sense and they can understand me more quickly. But something like love, it's not really that important that I'm that clear. So personally, when I'm around English people, I won't use the word love the same way they use it. Sorry, the dog's barking. Let me, I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. They like to sing every time someone goes in the house or out of the house. So they were singing because they were happy that one of my housemates got back. Okay. And okay, so basically to summarize, if you're talking about an action or an activity or an idea, then yeah, it makes sense to use the word love, right? But a person themselves, unless someone's going out, unless you're very sure of the context or the relationship you have with that person, then it's best to not use the word love. So you can say, I enjoy spending time with you, or I really like you, or I really like doing this, or I love doing this activity with you. That's all really great, right? It doesn't sound too personal or too serious. Now, as a bonus, I'll give you another phrase you can use to show that you really like something very, very much. So basically what you can use instead of saying, I love this, I love that all the time. So obsessed with. So obsessed with you can use when you're talking about usually something that you do all the time as a routine, or something that you've discovered that you really, really like. So one example is if you find a TV series or a movie that you like watching over and over, you can say, oh, I'm obsessed with it. It's really great. Also, if I just discovered this new kind of tea, which I have, my housemate gave me some different kinds of tea, so it's a new thing. I drink this new tea all the time. I'm obsessed with this new tea. Thank you so much. I love it. Then that shows, oh, I really enjoy this activity. I really enjoy this thing. And you're not saying love all the time. So some people are obsessed with working out, right? Usually it's with a new thing. Also, people say they're obsessed with products and that kind of thing. So a beauty product, or guys are really into hats a lot of the time. So if you see a guy and he's always wearing his hat, you know, oh yeah, like guys are obsessed with hats all the time, then that sounds pretty normal or natural. So, all right. This is the first video in a series that I'm making, pretty much the same thing. How native English speakers speak. You can watch these videos, they're all for free. The different topics that I'm going to talk about, I'll go through them now, and I want you to let me know in the comments what you want to hear more about. So for today, I only talked about the word love. I did not talk about the idea, right, or the feelings behind it. All I did was I told you how to use the word love and not sound very serious, and how to sound very serious if you want to. The other topics I'll talk about, looking at my notebook, are relationships, right? So romantic or romantic relationships, and also maybe like family or friend relationships. Airport, right? So vocabulary you only use when you're at the airport. Travel, so this is general travel, right? And ways you can talk about that. Hometown. Hometown's always a very good topic, especially if you travel. Family. Pets. And during the pets video, I think I'll introduce you to one of the pets. Yeah, Freya left. I was just looking to see if she was still there. Men's fashion and women's fashion. Those are going to be two separate videos. They're going to be very general, right? So anything, if you hear something specific in these topics you want to learn about, let me know, and I'll try and make it happen for you. Also, beauty, right? So what a lot of people think of when they hear the word beauty, right? Cars and transportation, right? This is a really more serious topic, health with the way the world is now, right? So there's a lot of new developments in the world that were not there even like a few months ago. So health in today's context. Also, I have another topic, just everyday health, right? So imagine the world like more than 6 months ago. What do people think of when they hear the word health and when they talk about it? Also, exercise and fitness. And the last one is house and home. So for myself, I'll talk about my experience with house and home. Right now I live with some housemates. Also, I live with dogs. So I'll give you just an example of a more specific situation talking about house and home. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. Right, I hope you subscribe, like this video if you like this video. If you want to see more, of course, subscribe. If you don't like this video, or if you disagree with what I say, then I actually want you to let me know. So it's totally all right with me if you dislike it, because I want to know what you like and what you don't like too. And share it with anyone you know, native speaker or not, who has an interest in this topic, and we can start a conversation, because that's what I want in this. I want you to have the experience of, you know, being able to interact with a native speaker. In the future, I may do some live streams, so you can actually ask me questions and that kind of thing, and I can get back to you straight there. But for now, let me know what kind of videos you want to watch, and I'll do my best to respond to you in the comments. Thank you so much. This is part of a playlist, so if you want more, make sure you hit the bell notification so that it will show you when I have more videos. And have a great day or a great evening, depending where you are. Bye.